Whoa. Man, every time I do that, I swear I feel like the Haitian guy from Heroes created Periscope. Because as soon as I hit start broadcast and double click, it's like everything I was thinking, I just forgot. Hey, everybody that's joined, really excited. I think all of you that have joined are not Royals fans because I think they're winning. I'm not sure. But hey, welcome to this week's Periscope of Risk Talks. My name's Josh Levin, and each week I'm going to give a 5 to 10 minute talk after I leave a juvenile detention center where I get to volunteer. I've got to volunteer there for a year and a half, and I really want to use Periscope as a way to share the stories, the questions, the concerns that these at-risk young adults face, because I love social media, and I think Periscope is the best way to do this. Instagram captures moments. Facebook brings about friends. Periscope's thing says experiencing the world through other people's eyes. What I like about that is it says, man, you could bash that, I'm sure. You could talk about all the negative things that social media brings, but Periscope's saying, hey, I don't see everything clearly. The world around me, the experiences that I had, aren't necessarily how they're supposed to be. So each week I get to go, hey, everybody that's joining, excited to see you. I promise you might be more disappointed by this than the Royals game, but that's fine. So each week I talk to these juvie hall kids. There's about 60 of them, and we talk about faith and we talk about failures. We talk about hope and we talk about hurts. We talk about love and we talk about lost. And each time that I speak to them, I try to convince them that, hey, what if yesterday's pains don't guarantee tomorrow's tears? What if the things that bring you regret and remorse from yesterday could actually lead to strength and experience for the future? It's hard to believe that for a lot of these kids. Sorry for the glare on my glasses. I don't know if I look down, it goes away, but I heard lighting was important. I'm new to this. So anyways, each week we try to convince these kids that yesterday's pains don't equal tomorrow's tears. And what I'm seeing more and more each and every week is that these kids and me are no different. Truth be told, right? These kids and you are no different. Sure, the names and times and exact circumstances, right? Circumstances are different. The environments were maybe a little different, but the experiences are the same. So we all know what it's like to have our hopes and our hearts crushed. That could happen in middle school at a dance. That could happen when your abusive father kicks you in the face. We know what it's like to experience pain, and rather than jockeying for whose painful fish is bigger, why don't we say, man, as humans, life is hard. Life is hard. They're no different than us. So the differences honestly are usually small and insignificant. So they ran away and you ran away. Your parents came and looked for you, and a drug dealer looked for them. They go to sleep at night with a record. You go to sleep at night with regrets and remorse. It's the same thing. So I talk to these kids, and I'm reminded constantly as I share with them of Good Will Hunting, right? Any Good Will Hunting fans? My favorite movie. If I could give myself, I can't give myself hearts. If I was going to say that I love Good Will Hunting, I'd give myself a bunch of hearts like that right there. That's what I would do. Love Matt Damon, young Ben Affleck, dreamy, Robin Williams, killed it. And in that movie, right, so if you don't know about Good Will Hunting, there's this guy, Will Hunting, who's a genius, who's a prodigy in so many ways, and he finds himself in a really bad situation, and he has to go to a counselor, played by Robin Williams. His name is Sean. And Will and Sean kind of go back and forth, and finally, it's their last exit interview or whatever. He's past the counseling sessions, and he goes in, and Robin Williams is holding a binder, and Will says, "What's that?" And he says, "It's your file. It's what they say about you." And he said, Will Hunting says, "Well, what does it say? I have abandonment issues. I have anger issues." "Yeah, I know that." And Robin Williams is flipping through page after page after page of assault charge, breaking and enter, theft, grand theft auto, all these terrible things, right? These things that got Will locked up. But then he starts to flip through picture after picture of abuse and beaten and scars and things that weren't a record. And Will says to Robin Williams, Matt Damon says to Robin Williams, hey, have you seen anything like that? Robin Williams responds, man, I've been a counselor for 20 years. I've seen some really bad crap. And Will says, no, that's not what I mean. Have you seen anything like that? And Robin Williams takes his glasses off and he says, yeah, my dad was a raging alcoholic. And when he would come home plastered out of his mind looking for someone to thrash on, I would go and pick a fight with him. I'd pick a fight so he wouldn't touch my mom, he wouldn't touch my little brother, and it was always a real long night when he wore his rings. Matt Damon then doesn't hesitate and says, yeah, I used to get sat down at the kitchen table and he would lay a belt, a wrench, and a stick down. Robin Williams says, no problem, I choose the belt. Matt Damon says, I chose the wrench, because screw him. And you see there's this connection between two victims. You see that there's this connection between two people that know what it's like to experience fear and pain and loss and suffering. Robin Williams then closes the binder that both contained the abuse and the record, right? The things that were done to him and by him, and says, hey, Will, this pile of crap right here, it's not your fault. And you see this response by Matt Damon that you've probably seen with people you've tried to break through to. You have a young kid or a young girl or a friend or a colleague, and you're trying to get them to realize, hey man, who you were doesn't define who I think you are. And Robin Williams says, hey Will, it's not your fault. And he says, yeah, I know, it's no big deal. Right? You've heard that. It's no big deal. My dad left. No big deal. No big deal. My mom chose alcohol over me. No big deal that I got beat in the face. No big deal. We had no place to sleep. No big deal. We were on food stamps and welfare and reduced lunch. No big deal. You hear that. And as Robin Williams says it over and over and over again, Will, it's not your fault. Will breaks. Right? He goes from shrugging it off to crying hysterically to punching Robin Williams to cussing at him to saying, don't do this to me. Don't expose me like this. Don't bring about hope if you can't fulfill it. And it really leads me tonight. So tonight we didn't get to talk to the Juvie Hall. Tonight they had a celebration. They had a celebration because they had 351 GED graduates last year. It was the most in state history. Tons of kids got their GEDs. It's called a HiSET now. FYI, if you want to seem like new and cool. But anyways, they had a huge celebration, and the kids got to eat cheesecake, and their families got to come, and they got to perform these plays and all this kind of stuff and dress up, and it was kind of a really cool night. But what was shocking about it, and what we constantly hear, is when they got up to thank everybody, they didn't say like, "Oh man, I loved the cheesecake. Oh man, I loved the costumes. Oh man, I loved getting act silly." They said, "Hey parents, hey family, friends, volunteers, staff, thanks for showing up." I think to win this battle, I think to really break through with people, especially with at-risk people, man, you got to show up. I'm convinced, man, the most welcoming, the most warm, the most loving people in the world right now, sadly, are pimps, drug dealers, gangbangers, who don't discriminate, who don't keep people out. They accept anybody. Hey, man, you're down on your luck. You have a shameful past. Come on in, man, I'll accept you. It's sad, but we don't show up. And that's what these kids desperately need. That's what our world desperately needs. They need people to show up, man. It makes such an impact just to see your face. One kid, while he was going in line, I gave him some cheesecake and said, "Hey, man, are you excited for tonight? You know, cheesecake and plays and stuff like that." And he said, "Why would I be excited? My dad's dead, my mom's not here, and my grandpa will never show up." It was fun to say, "Hey, dude, that's why we're here. We're here for you." So the world around you, man, the world's not that different from you. The brokenness in the world that you want to change, it's not that different. And you don't have to understand, you don't have to have all the answers, but man, I promise you have to show up. That concludes this week's Risk Talk. I'll be doing these probably every Wednesday night at 9, maybe after. I'm going to post it on Facebook because I'm sure true Royals fans, whoop whoop, and maybe there's some Cubs fans out there, I saw somebody log on, are too busy watching the game. So, hey man, any questions, comments, you can find me on Facebook. I think it's Joshua B. Levin, all one word. Thanks so much for your time, and it's risky, but show up. Thanks.